You've probably heard the stories about day trading, right? The instant riches, the fast cars, this life of total freedom. But what's the real story behind all that hype? Well, today we're going to cut right through the noise. We're going to build a really clear picture of what it actually takes to be a day trader. And we're using the fantastic guide Day Trading for Dummies as our source. So, what's the game plan? How do we go from thinking like a gambler to operating like a real entrepreneur? Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll build the right mindset. Then we'll dive into the trader's toolkit and what I like to call the blueprint for survival. After that, we tackle the biggest challenge, the mental game, before, finally, walking through the practical steps of setting up your own operation.
Okay, first things first. Before you even think about making a single trade, there's a huge mindset shift that absolutely has to happen. See, this isn't about getting lucky. It's about building a business from the ground up. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. Look, long-term investors, they're often betting on the whole economy growing, on a company creating real value over years. But day traders, well, they're playing in a totally different arena. It's a zero-sum game. For every single winner, there has to be a loser. It's an incredibly fast-paced, hands-on job that's all about tiny short-term blips in price.
So what does this really mean? It means you are in and out of the market within hours, sometimes minutes, sometimes even seconds. This isn't a hobby you can just dabble in. It demands the same planning, capital, and discipline as any other serious business. You're not a gambler hoping for a lucky break. You are an entrepreneur running a high-stakes operation.
All right, so now that we've got that business mindset locked in, let's look at what you're actually working with. What tools of the trade are we talking about here?
The modern trader has just a massive playground to choose from. Of course, you've got the traditional stuff like stocks and currencies. But wow, the landscape has just exploded to include things like super volatile cryptocurrencies and even the totally unpredictable world of meme stocks. And you better believe, each one requires a completely different strategy and a deep understanding.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because this shows there's no single right way to trade. You could be a scalper, making dozens, maybe hundreds of trades a day for tiny little profits. It's like collecting pennies over and over again. Or you could be a momentum trader, looking to catch a much bigger wave, riding a stock that's making a powerful move for one larger gain. Your strategy, it literally defines your entire day. And now we get to the absolute heart of it all. This isn't really about picking winners, it's about surviving the losers. Because without a detailed plan, a blueprint, you're not trading. You're just clicking buttons and praying, which is just another form of gambling.
Your trading plan is your constitution. Seriously, it is a formal document that dictates every single move you make before you're in the heat of the moment. You decide exactly what you'll trade, when you'll cash in your profits, and, this is the most important part, the precise point you will cut a losing trade and get out. And this isn't flexible. It's a rigid set of rules designed to protect you from your own worst impulses. So, before you even start dreaming about the money you can make, you have to become an expert at not losing money. For every professional trader out there, job number one is preserving their capital. The book brings up this chilling concept called the probability of ruin. And yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like, the statistical chance of you blowing up your entire account. Your entire job is to get that probability as close to zero as possible.
And here's exactly how you do it. You have a hard stop loss on every single trade. No exceptions. You use a methodical way to size your positions, meaning you only ever risk a small fixed percentage of your total capital on any one trade. This makes sure that no single bad idea can ever wipe you out. Look, these aren't suggestions. These are the laws of survival in this business. Okay, so you could have the most brilliant trading strategy in the world and the strictest risk plan ever created, but there is one variable that can, in an instant, destroy it all. You. Your own brain. These right here, these are the enemies. Greed will convince you to hold on to a winning trade for too long, right until it turns into a loser. Fear makes you panic and sell a great position way too early. And today, oh man, FOMO, the fear of missing out, is probably the biggest driver of impulsive, unplanned trades, especially when you're watching some meme stock just shoot to the moon without you. This quote from the book is just so powerful. Listen, the market is not out to get you. It doesn't care about you. It's a huge impersonal force of nature. So attaching your ego or your emotions to its random movements is a complete recipe for disaster.
When you take a loss, it's not a personal failure, it's a business expense. That's it. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to you. There's no boss to report to, there's no one else to blame when things go wrong. Success demands that true entrepreneurial spirit. You have to be able to make tough decisions under incredible pressure, take total ownership of your results, and stick to your plan no matter what your emotions are screaming at you to do. All right, we've covered the mindset, the tools, the plan, and the psychology. Now let's get down to the brass tacks, the practical, real-world requirements for actually setting up shop as a professional day trader. This is the first big hurdle for a lot of people, at least in the United States. And it's not some arbitrary figure. This is the minimum account balance that financial regulators require for you to be officially classified as a pattern day trader. And this is what that rule is all about. If your trading activity fits this specific pattern, you are required, by law, to keep that $25,000 equity level in your account. It's basically the regulator's way of saying, hey, this is a serious, capital-intensive business. It's really designed to protect people with smaller accounts from blowing them up too quickly. Your broker is so much more than just an app on your phone. They are your single most important business partner. For a day trader, commissions can eat you alive. The speed of your orders, we're talking milliseconds, can be the difference between a profit and a loss. And the quality of their charting tools, well, that's your window to the world. This is a critical decision. And finally, a real business has to deal with the boring stuff. You've got to understand things like the tax hit from short-term capital gains, and you have to navigate complex rules like the wash sale rule, which can stop you from claiming a loss on a stock if you buy it back too soon. It's all part of running a professional operation. So, if we boil all of this down, what are the huge takeaways? Success isn't about finding some secret indicator or a magic formula. It's about treating this whole thing with the seriousness of a real business. It's about building and then blindly following a rigid plan, always putting survival ahead of profit, and becoming the master of your own mind. That's the real secret. And that really is the question the guide leaves us with, isn't it? The principles, they're actually pretty simple and easy to understand. But living them day in and day out under intense financial and psychological pressure, that is one of the hardest things anyone can do. So the real question isn't whether you can learn how to trade, it's whether you have the unshakable discipline to actually run the business.